Hello children. In previous class we have studied about the Timothy the tiger cub. Today I am going to continue that lesson. Before starting that lesson we will summarize the previous class. Here the Timothy was a tiger cub. It was brought from the forest by grandfather of the author, and that Timothy was fed with the milk bottle, feeding bottle, and the Timothy was named by the grandmother. And who was feeding that Timothy? The Mahmud. He was the cook of that house at that time. As the Timothy was growing elder, at that time the food diet of that Timothy was being changed. It used to have the raw mutton and the cod liver oil. Afterwards, that Timothy was having two companions. Companions means the friends. Okay. Those friends' name were Toto the monkey as well as the puppy. Those both were the friends of that Timothy. And later on, the boy had come to the grandfather's house. That boy was the favorite of that Timothy. While in the evening, the Timothy and the boy was going in the roadside. They used to go for the walking. Okay. Yesterday we had previous class we had stopped till here. Today I will continue the lesson. When he pulled hard on his chain, I had difficulty in keeping up with him. His favorite place in the house was the drawing room, and he would make himself comfortable on the long sofa. Okay, the Timothy's favorite place was the drawing room. In the drawing room there was one sofa, and the Timothy used to sleep there. Reclining means lying back. Aram se it used to sit there with great dignity and snarling at anybody who tried to get him out. Okay, what is the meaning of dignity here? Quality of being. What is the meaning of dignity here? Quality of being. Quality of being. Anybody who tried to get him off. Okay, now the next para. Timothy had clean habits and would scrub his face with his paws exactly like a cat. Okay. Have you, if anybody is having the cat in your house, at that time you have seen that the cat will take its leg, the paws means it is the feet. It will clean with the help of that paws. It will wipe, and it will use the tongue also for wiping its body. It will wipe with the help of the tongue, the whole body it will make it clean. He slept at night in the cook's quarters and was always delighted at being let out by him in the morning. Okay. Where did the Timothy used to sleep in the night? It used to sleep with the cook in the quarters. It used to sleep there delighted. What is the meaning of delighted here? It is the delighted means it is fresh. Okay. In the morning when it will get up, it was very fresh. One of these days, declared grandmother in her prophetic manner, we are going to find Timothy sitting on Mahmud's bed and no sign of the cook except his clothes and shoes. Okay. One day, the grandmother was very afraid. Prophetic means telling something very afraidingly. Okay. The grandmother was very afraid and she come outside and she will tell very afraidingly that the Mahmud was not there in the bed. Instead of Mahmud, the Timothy was sitting there. This means that Timothy has been eaten that cook or what she was thinking. So she was very afraid of that. Of course, it never came to that. But when Timothy was about 6 months old, a change came over him. He grew steadily less friendly. Okay, as the Timothy was growing up, now it is 6 months old tiger. Okay, as you go on becoming big, we are not calling that as a cub. We will call it by the name. Now the cub, it changed into the tiger. And as it grown up, it was becoming less friendly to everyone. When out for a walk with me, he would try to steal away to stop a cat or someone's pet picnic. Okay, what is the meaning of picnic here? Picnic means it is the pet dog. It is a pet dog. Okay, any dog, let it be, it should be a pet. Sometimes at night we would hear friends cackling from the poultry house, and in the morning there would be feathers lying on over the veranda. Okay, what is the meaning of frizzling here? It is the strange sound. What is the meaning of frizzed? It is the strange sound. Okay. In the night time, the strange sound used to come from the poultry. What is the meaning of poultry here? Where the chicken will be kept. Okay. The poultry means where the hens, for example, hen. Okay. The hen will be kept. Now that is called as the poultry. Okay, from the poultry, the sound used to come in the night. When in the morning, we used to see that only the feathers used to be on the veranda, but the chicks or hen were not there in that. Timothy had to be chained up more often. Okay, always the Timothy was being chained. Why? Because it was eating the hens from the poultry. And finally, when he began to stalk Mahmud about the house with what looked like villainous intent, grandfather decided it was time to transfer him to a zoo. Okay. The Timothy. Now Timothy was grown up and it was acting like a villain. Okay. You know what is the meaning of villainous. Okay. Like that, the Timothy also was acting like that, and it was eating all the hens from the poultry. So the grandfather decided to leave this Timothy. This is the time to leave this Timothy in the zoo. The nearest zoo was at Lucknow. Okay, where is the nearest zoo here? The nearest zoo is in Lucknow. Okay, the nearest zoo was in Lucknow, 200 miles away. Okay, it was 200 miles from where the Timothy was living. Reserving a first-class compartment for himself and Timothy, no one could share a compartment with them. Okay, what did the grandfather do before going to the Lucknow? He reserved the first-class compartment because only the grandfather and Timothy was there in the compartment. The grandfather was not wished anybody to come there because the Timothy was grown up and it was harming the people. So the grandfather reserved the first class compartment and only the grandfather as well as the Timothy was there in that compartment. Grandfather took him to Lucknow where the zoo authorities were only too glad to receive as a gift a well-fed and fairly civilized tiger. Okay, when the grandfather went to the zoo people were very happy Why? Because the well-trained tiger, they were happily to take those tigers. And even civilized, what is the meaning of civilized here? It is good manners. Civilized means it is good manner. Good manners. Okay. Okay. So the people of the zoo were very happy to see this tiger. About 6 months later, when my grandparents were visiting relatives in Lucknow, grandfather took the opportunity of calling at the zoo to see how Timothy was getting on. Okay, when the grandfather left the tiger in the zoo and he went back to his house, and later, after 6 months later, the grandfather called to the Lucknow zoo. Why? Because he wanted to ask how the Timothy was there, and he had gone to the Lucknow after 6 months, and he called and asked that, can I come and see the Timothy or what? He will ask. I was not there to accompany him, but I heard all about it when he returned to Dehra. Okay, the boy was not there. The boy who here, he was the author only. Okay, the boy had not gone with his grandfather. Only the grandfather had gone to visit the Timothy in the zoo. Where is the zoo there? In the Lucknow. So when he returned back to the Dehra at that time, that boy asked how was Timothy and all. Arriving at the zoo, grandfather made straight for the particular cage in which Timothy had been interred. Okay, listen here. Now in the zoo, the animals will not be outside. It will be kept in the cages. Okay, like that only this Timothy also was being kept in the cage. The grandfather directly he will go to the cage and he will see the tiger. The tiger name is Timothy. What is the meaning of interned here? Interned means inside the cage. Interned. Interned means it is inside the cage. Inside cage. Okay, the Timothy was inside the cage. The grandfather will see that. The tiger was there, crouched in a corner, full grown and with a magnificent striped coat. Okay, what is the meaning of crouched here? Crouched means sad. Okay, what is the meaning of crouched? Crouched means it is sad. Okay. When the grandfather went to see that Timothy, it was sitting in one corner. It was very sad. It was sitting quietly there. The tiger approached the bars and allowed grandfather to put both hands around his head. Okay. When the grandfather came to the cage, at that time the tiger, when it will be sitting in the corner, no, it will get up and come to the cage. You can see in this picture here. See, the tiger is here, okay, and only the tiger allowed the grandfather to put hands inside and touch his hand. Maybe even you have gone to the zoo. If you will put the hand inside the cage, what will happen to you? You know that, okay. The tiger will bite you or it will harm you. But this tiger did not harm the grandfather. Grandfather stroked the tiger's forehead and tickled his ear, and whenever he growled, smacked him across the mouth, which was his old way of keeping him quiet. Okay, what did the grandfather do? He stroked him. Stroke means putting the head on its forehead. Okay, like that he put, and he was smacked the mouth, and near the ear he was tickling like this. Tickling means doing like this. Okay, Like that it is, the grandfather tickled the Timothy. So the tiger was very quiet there, okay, while the grandfather doing that one. Okay, next paragraph. He licked grandfather's hand and only sprang away when a leopard in the next cage snapped at him. Okay, licked. What is the meaning of licked? Licked means now you have seen that in the house, if any dog or anything is there, means it will remove the tongue and it will start licking at you. Okay, that is called as the licked. Okay, like that only this Timothy also, it will remove the tongue and it will start licking at the grandfather. It will start licking at the grandfather's hand. Grandfather shooed the leopard away and the tiger returned to lick his hands, but every now and then the leopard would rush at the bars and the tiger would slink back to his corner. Okay. Side of that Timothy's cage, there was one leopard. The Timothy was getting very much afraid of that leopard. When the leopard used to come near to the cage, at that time the tiger used to go inside and it used to sit in the corner. When the leopard used to go far away from that cage, at that time again the tiger used to come near the grandfather. A number of people had gathered to watch the reunion when a keeper pushed his way through the crowd and asked grandfather what he was doing. Okay, what is the meaning of reunion here? One or two person. Okay, there when the grandfather was touching the tiger, at that time all the people who had come to the zoo gathered there. Why? Because it was a surprising, because nobody will touch the tiger, but this grandfather was touching this tiger, so all were surprised and they came near the grandfather and everyone were looking at that grandfather and the tiger. I am talking of Timothy, said grandfather. Weren't you here when I gave him to the zoo 6 months ago? Okay, the grandfather will answer to the public there. I have left 6 months before my tiger. This is my tiger. Its name is Timothy. Okay, so it is friendly with me. The grandfather will tell to the public there, people who will gather there. I haven't been here very long, said the surprised keeper. Okay. Now in the zoo, the zookeeper will be. Okay. He will come near to the grandfather and he will talk with him. And again the grandfather will tell, this is my tiger. Okay. When I came before 6 months later, maybe you was not there. You have not seen me. He will tell to the zookeeper. Please continue your conversation, but I have never been able to touch him myself. He is always very bad tempered. Okay, the zookeeper will tell. Okay, you continue your conversation with the Timothy. You put your hand inside, because when I will come and I will touch the tiger, at that time it will treat me very badly. It will come to bite for me, but I am surprised that how you are friendly with him, he will ask. Why don't you put him somewhere else? Okay, what did the grandfather do? You put this tiger in the different cage, suggested grandfather. That leopard keeps frightening him. I will go and see the superintendent about it. Okay. Later on the grandfather will tell, you put this Timothy in the different cage, because always this leopard is coming here and it is frightening the tiger. So I will talk with the superintendent of the zoo. He will tell. Grandfather went in search of the superintendent of the zoo, but found that he had gone home early, and so after wandering about the zoo for a little while, he returned to Timothy's cage to say goodbye. Okay, now the grandfather will go to the superintendent. Who is the superintendent here? He is the head of the zoo. He will go to in search of the superintendent, but unfortunately the superintendent has been gone to the house before the grandfather reached him. He was gone. So the grandfather will take one round of the zoo and he will come back to the Timothy's cage. It was beginning to get dark. Okay. As the time was passing, it was becoming dark. It was evening at that time. He had been stroking and slapping Timothy for about 5 minutes when he found another keeper observing him with some alarm. Okay. Now, when he will go to the zoo, when the time will over, at that time the zookeepers, what they will do? They will put a whistle or they will put one alarm, because everyone who have been inside the zoo, they have to move outside. Like that only, here also one more zookeeper will put one alarm. Grandfather recognized him as the keeper who had been there when Timothy had first come to the zoo. Okay, when the grandfather brought this Timothy to the zoo for the first time, at that time the zookeeper was different. He came to meet the grandfather. At that time he recognized means no, he remembered him. He remembered him, and grandfather told that when I had come for the first time, you was there in the zoo. You remember me, said grandfather. Okay, what did the grandfather told? Do you remember me? Now, why don't you transfer Timothy to another cage away from this stupid leopard? Okay, what did the grandfather told to that zookeeper? You please shift this Timothy to the other cage, because this stupid leopard, he will tell very angrily that this is the stupid leopard, it is disturbing the Timothy. So please shift this Timothy to the other cage, he will tell to the zookeeper. You remember me, said grandfather. Now why don't you transfer Timothy to another cage away from this stupid leopard? But sir, stammered the keeper, it is not your tiger. What is the meaning of stammered here? Have very much difficulty he will tell to the grandfather. What he will tell that? This is not your Timothy. This is not your tiger. He will tell. I know, said grandfather testingly. I realized he is no longer mine. Okay. Again the grandfather will tell. Yes, I know that. It is not my tiger. Now it belongs to the zoo. I know that, he will tell. But you might at least take a suggestion or two from me. Okay. Later on the grandfather will tell. I know that it is not my tiger, but you have to take the suggestion of mine, he will request that. I remember your tiger very well, said the keeper. He died 2 months ago. Okay, what did the zookeeper will tell that? I know your tiger very well, how it was, but unfortunately it died 2 months ago, he will tell. Died, exclaimed grandfather. Okay, died. The grandfather very sadly, and he will tell that, oh no, my tiger has been died, or what, he will ask the question to the zookeeper. Yes sir, of pneumonia. Okay, why the tiger Timothy has been died there? Because of the pneumonia. It was having the disease called pneumonia. This tiger was trapped in the hills only last month, and he is very dangerous. Okay, the tiger grandfather was putting inside the cage that touching the head and all, no, the tiger was not Timothy. It was came before 1 month before from hills of the forest. It had come from there, and the zookeeper will tell it is very dangerous tiger. Grandfather could think of nothing to say. Okay, grandfather, he was not able to talk also. Why? Because the Timothy was being died. The tiger was still licking his arm with increasing relish. Okay. When the grandfather again he put the hand, at that time the tiger was licking his hand. Okay. What is the meaning of relish here? Relish means more and more. Relish means more. Okay. More and more. More and more it was licking its hands. Whose hands? Grandfather's hands. Grandfather took what seemed to him an age to withdraw him hand from the cage. Okay. When it was licking more and more, at that time the grandfather removed his hand from the cage, because it was time to the grandfather to go back to the house. With his face near the tigers, he mumbled, "Good night, Timothy," and giving the keeper a snortful look, walked briskly out of the zoo. Okay, what is the meaning of mumbled here? He told. The grandfather told that good night. Okay, that good night he told for that tiger, and he named that tiger the name as Timothy. And even for the zookeeper also he told goodbye, and he walked away from that zoo. He will go outside. Okay, hope you all have understood this chapter. Next class I will give you the notes. Okay, by this I will